right, there you go.
Oh.
We can hear you fine.
But yeah, so this easily could have turned into an event, and yet Williamson's brilliance managed to only put like the Justice League being taken over by Eclipso and the world falling under the Dark Heart into like an issue and a half, and it was awesome and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was really cool. Like when he was talking to Amanda Waller, and he was like, "Look at the world, look at the utopia I've created." She was like, "I mean, you've created chaos. Look at what you've done." And it was cool to see. Like, I like the idea that Williamson wasn't like, it's not like Hal Jordan becoming Parallax. Like, I declare myself Eclipso.
Yeah.
It's like I've been taken over by like the wrath of God, and so it's like that's cool.
Get off more than he can chew.
Yeah, it was a great way to reintroduce. Because if I'll be honest, if Maxwell Lord had been reintroduced in any way, to be honest, I don't think anybody would have cared. But to have him take over like a secret Suicide Squad that nobody knew about, to lead a campaign to take out the Justice League and to be successful in doing it, it's pretty cool.
It makes him a power player again.
It does. It really does.
So
he was winning for a good chunk of the book, which I liked, and it's fun to see the hero team get smaller and smaller, from Batman and what's left of the squad to just Batman, Lobo, and Killer Frost, to Killer Frost kind of being the MVP of this event and having a full, really nice arc and ending on the same time that her special little one-off issue for JLA also came out this week.
Yeah, well, I was looking at like the solicitations for, I was looking at DC's description. No. It was the JLA one-shot for the Atom is what it was that I looked up. For the Ray. And they were like coming out of Justice League versus Suicide Squad. So it seems like that's what this was supposed to be. Because at the end, Batman tells Lobo, like, you're going to join the Justice League. Like, okay, he's not going to join, like, the Justice League.
Yeah.
He's going to join the Justice League of America.
Yeah, Justice League over America.
Yeah,
the TV adjacent team.
Yeah, but what a great way to do that, though. I mean, you get the Justice League of America, and you basically get kind of like, it's like Justice League International. You get the small time guys. You get like Killer Frost, which I love what Williamson did to kind of have her walk the wall. Be like, well, maybe she's a good guy, maybe she's a bad guy. Like, I like her being morally complex. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I like that this is a great opportunity to kind of move forward and say, okay, here's going to be a new Justice League of America team, and to just kind of springboard it off of probably one of the most popular DC titles that have come out so far. So
my favorite thing is they actually managed to square the circle that I thought they would never do satisfyingly, and that is, okay, now that the Justice League is aware of the Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad book needs to continue, how is Waller going to get out of this one? And in a way, she doesn't, because Batman's like, you know what? I've seen your team. I've seen the good in them. And if Killer Frost can change, they can all change. And also the fact you're backed by the government and going to war with you would mean going to war with the government. And the Justice League doesn't want to do that. So let's just ignore that. Everyone's a winner. Bye.
Well, I like the meeting between all of them, where it's like, yeah, I got this scar from here. And like, I was in this battle, and that was really fun. It was like, they were just kind of comparing notes. It was a really, really great way to end the story, I think.
And many seeds still planted. Dr. Polaris is on the loose. He's going to be a problem, as we've seen in solicitations. I think Rustam is going to take his rightful place as a villain of Suicide Squad. He's going to be fighting them in his old foe, Rick Flag. And who else was there? Emerald Empress is going to be part of a Superman-Supergirl crossover that will finally answer the questions about Saturn Girl and the Legion of Superheroes.
Yes.
That's cool, because as far as I'm aware, she's been peppered in so far. I think she's appeared maybe like 3 or 4 times in DC Rebirth up to this point. I had to do some digging around, and I even reached out to the members of my fan base. I was like, for those of you guys that know a lot about Emerald Empress, like, shine some light on this, because as far as I'm aware, she has like the eye of someone that used to be a Green Lantern once or something along those lines. I have no idea how that works, and so I was like, whatever.
No one knows how the Legion of Superheroes works. I'm a nerd, and I don't know how they work.
It's a mess.
Yeah, it's wild.
Overall, this was kind of an event. It was a crossover, done well.
Yes.
Everyone enjoyed it.
It came out on time. 6 full issues in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Very, very cool. They've got a lot to live up to after this, I think.
Yeah. It works on its own.
Exactly. But now, from DC, we're going to head back over to Marvel, and we're going to talk about Infamous Iron Man #4, Sal.
Yes, Infamous Iron Man #4 from Bendis and Maleev. This is a good book. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, like, Bendis has kind of like whizzed it with Civil War 2, and yet completely doesn't miss his stride when it comes to Infamous Iron Man. Clearly because dude cares about this character. It's Doctor Doom, post-Secret Wars, what's he up to? I thought they'd really be like, there'd be no Doom stories post-Secret Wars, and Ben is like, that was Hickman, I'm not Hickman, I'm gonna do my own Doctor Doom, and he's gonna be Iron Man, because I'm also writing Iron Man. But let me tell you something, he legitimizes Doctor Doom's decision to like dress as Iron Man really well in the prior issue, and this one is simply just Doctor Doom kind of proving Maria Hill's terrible at her job, and maybe she's not going to be having it for much longer. And
she had
also,
a bad week.
Yeah, and also like it just the Doctor Doom Iron Man armor is really growing on me. We get to see Doctor Doom address Latveria and the problems that arise from him having abandoned it and like being Iron Man Doctor Doom. It's cool. It's just a fun story. I kind of they imply that like, you know, Doctor Doom kind of like has an idea about how to run Latveria and he figures it out in like 2 minutes. I kind of want to just read a book about Doctor Doom running Latveria now,
like the West Wing, but with a supervillain.
Yeah, but since I don't think they're going to do that, I'm on board. I really like this series. It's just the art's fantastic, the character's interesting. Doctor Doom, like there's you know. There's no annoying Episode 2-esque implications that he's going to lose his face anytime soon. I'm down. I love what's going on right now. Also, Doctor Doom's mother is back, and yeah, it's
wow.
Really?
Yeah, and she's possessed the Thing.
Oh,
wow.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that's like coming up that I'm really a big
That's
fan of.
gotta be kind of uncomfortable.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, but dude, what a great plot point, because it was like his whole life was dedicated to rescuing his mom's soul.
Yeah.
You know, and now she's back.
No,
like
she shows up in the previous issue. She runs into Ben Grimm and she's like, "You're the one who's been giving my son so much trouble." And you're like, "Oh snap!"
Which, by the way, I just want to say, like, I mean, I'm not really caught up on this issue right now, but like the whole Iron Doom thing, I love his costume.
Yeah.
I love the Iron Man suit with the green Doom cloak. It just looks amazing.
It really does,
Yeah.
and it's actually they've gotten these new lights like on the chest, so it kind of like it is shades of the big yellow buttons, but they're lights instead. It creates a little more symmetry, so it doesn't just look like Iron Man Mark 1 plus Doom cloak. Because
rocking them
just like,
LEDs.
well, how about some no color and a Doom cloak? Although works for me. Also, when you see Doom using the HUD, like the heads-up display that Iron Man's usually using, his is a mixture of magic and science. So like the heads-up display isn't all like just circles and you know
Right.
there's like some like magical wisps and shit. So you're getting this implication that like it's just this beautiful marriage of science and magic, and only Doom could have this kind of view of the world,
Right.
and it's cool. It's smart. I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You gotta love Doom's approach to crime fighting too, and that is, I used to be a villain. I know who all the players are. I know where the bodies are buried. I'm kind of perfect for this.
Yeah, how about I bury some more by killing all my previous
It
colleagues?
it's wild, man. It's like, what if J. Edgar Hoover became a superhero? Like,
Yeah.
how would that work?
It's badass.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're digging it.
I recommend it. I think people should buy it. 'Cause
Awesome.
I think go back and pick it up because like it's a slow read. I forget
Right.
the book exists sometimes,
Ooh, okay.
which
Okay.
is a problem. But like when it comes out, I go, "Oh yeah, I love this book."
Awesome.
Yeah.
So recommend, right?
No question.
Absolutely. Okay. Over in DC, I am part of the DC Fans Young Animal Book Club. I like book clubs, apparently.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're on 2 of them.
I'm on 2 of them. And I got into this new incarnation of Doom Patrol, which is being written by My Chemical Romance frontman, Gerard Way.
Yeah.
Which, like, initially, like, I was like, what?
Yeah, once I heard that, I was like, pass. But
Yeah,
then it turns out,
I
like,
wasn't,
no, it's cool.
I wasn't like past, but he's the one that spearheaded this whole Young Animal imprint to bring some of these like titles that had kind of floated around, like, you know, technically Doom Patrol was DC, and then it was Vertigo, and you know what I mean. It's been all over the place. It hasn't really found a home. It's back now, and Way knows this universe really well. Like, he's clearly a huge fan of Doom Patrol, clearly a fan of the Morrison run of Doom Patrol.
Oh, yeah, he is.
So he's making a whole lot of homages to that, and I've seen a lot of people saying that like issue 1 they couldn't get into, and I get it. Like, I had them all at once. I had 1 through 4, and I read them in one sitting. But I can imagine after issue 1, people may have been like, I don't know where this is going. It's just confusing, and he's playing the long game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And issue 4 was awesome. I am so excited to see where this is going. I love Casey, our ride-along character. She's great,
She's
and
fun.
she not only do we get the reveal of her past in issue 3, but in this one we get to see where she's going, like the future of her, and I am so ecstatic. We also get to see a little bit more of like a hint at Crazy Jane coming back, and you know what I mean? Like, it's for me, this issue was the most we're getting the band back together. And I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, for some people that could be too long. Like, it's going to take almost an entire arc for the Doom Patrol to actually be together. But I like it. They're universe building. He's essentially accepting the fact that there are new people, and there's going to be, like, older people who used to be into Doom Patrol into this, and like I'm on board. I thought this issue was great. It is living up to its mature rating.
Yeah, because Young Animal's like almost like an in-universe, or like I don't know what it is, but it's almost like a Marvel Max kind of thing.
Kind of, because I believe I haven't read it, but my understanding is Mother Panic is kind of it within
Mature
Gotham.
readers. Oh, it's within Gotham, so it's in universe.
So like it's like I'm not 100% on, so I really can't.
It's very
comment
strange
on that. Yeah. But I'm loving it. It's so like wacky, zany, quirky weirdness, and I love it.
In your Doom Patrol episode, you kind of likened it to Dirk Gently a little bit, which for me is very much the same thing because I read the first issue. Doom Patrol was like, what the f is this? And then I watched the first episode of Dirk Gently and was like, what the f is this?
Yeah.
And but like. I know that, but like I've been seeing the criticism / praise for Dirk Gently, and people being like, "I'm so glad I stayed," and because there's a lot of payoff.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol's the same thing, where it's like stick around because like by issue 4, there's a lot of payoff.
I think issue 3 is like where like the rubber hits the road.
Where you finally realize like, oh my god, everything's coalescing.
Yeah.
It's not just being weird.
That's exactly it. Like that's like where it just all comes together for me, and I'm just like, nope, I'm in. Yeah. I'm totally in.
Let me ask you this. Do we get more Robot Man? Because Robot Man was always my favorite from Doom Patrol.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Robot Man actually right now is currently hanging out with the would-be Negative Man, and they went to negative space for a little bit, and like Robot Man's doing his whole thing. I love it. I love his character. I love his like sarcastic way. There's a moment earlier on in the series where he he's in Casey's apartment. He ends up getting rocketed out the window of the apartment, and she has a cat named Lotion, and he saves the cat. Like he falls to the ground with the cat, and then it runs off, and he's like, no. So I am all for Robot Man. Again, this book is quirky, it's weird, and I love it, and I recommend it. Again, gotta get through issue 1, but after that, you're okay.
Nice.
But okay, back to Marvel. Joel, Captain America, Steve Rogers, number 10.
Whoa, okay, where do I even start with this? Because this book and The Oath really bled into each other this week, and it's the fallout of the trial of Maria Hill. She's finally going down for all the evil stuff she did during Pleasant Hill and everything else. Surprise, she doesn't take it very well. And she's like, oh, you're going to fire me, eh? Well, I'm going to steal all these government secrets. Screw you later, guys. And she runs off to the most interesting person. She runs off to Captain Marvel. And her thinking is like, hey, sister, we were friends during the last Civil War, so you want to help me now, right, Carol? And Carol's like, no, you go away. I don't want to fight another war over you. And while all this is going on, we get because these stories, these Captain America stories now are told in the main timeline story and the flashback to the memories that have been changed around for Steve. And this is him finally coming to America and trying to get close to Dr. Erskine. And it's great because they kind of the thing that Nick Spencer I don't think gets credit for in his Captain America run is obviously, it's very topical and very politically minded and everything, but he also brings in a lot of stuff from the movies too. He brought in Sokovia, he brought in the Doctor from Thor, he brought in the Chitauri that looked like the movie Chitauri, and here he kind of does his like Hydra spin on the first Avenger where he's like, I'm going to movies and everything, I'm working a job I don't like, I'm getting beaten up in alleys, all to try and get to Dr. Erskine. And you get the feeling that Erskine, because he's so kind and so nice and so fatherly, he might actually change Hydra Steve's viewpoint. Like, this is the moment where he stops drinking the Hydra Kool-Aid as hard and goes, well, maybe I have my own version of this I want to do. And that's pretty much the bulk of the issue. And the big end piece of it that leads into The Oath is Steve Rogers is yet again elected to become the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., making him the most powerful man in America now because they passed new legislation because of the Chitauri invasion that S.H.I.E.L.D. runs everything. All the armed forces, everything go through S.H.I.E.L.D. So he is the most powerful man in America now.
Yeah, and that's the kicker is, remember, he's the one that engineered the Chitauri invasion in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he set all that up. Dude, let me tell you something, man. Nick Spencer's I've been reading Captain America for 20 years. All right, Nick Spencer's Captain America is the best Captain America run there's ever been, and there's no debating that point. Like,
Brubaker's pretty high up there, though, man.
No, Brubaker's is good, but it's not Nick Spencer.
Let's see where it ends, though. But I'll admit it's the most talked about and the most important since Brubaker. I'll say that.
It is. Dude, don't get me wrong. I love Brubaker's run. We got some great moments there, but it's not. It's beyond. It's well beyond.
I'm loving
Brubaker.
it. Don't get me wrong.
Well, because it's inviting the wolf into the hen house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, what happens when you have a guy who's the center, like the moral center of the superhero community, and he's a bad guy?
Yeah.
Because then, like, he infiltrates everything. And dude, okay, Joel, the Oath.
Yeah.
The Oath.
Oh. Man. What do we even with the Oath?
Well,
As
dude,
I was
dude,
watching your Periscope earlier.
Dude, you are taking point on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can if you want to. Like, Joel's taking point, I think, on both of these.
No,
so.
you are.
You
Oh,
sir,
okay.
he's gonna, like,
I'm
pass
tossing the
torch
football
you.
to you, man.
That's
Well, do you
great.
have any? I mean, I don't want to hijack your thing. Do you have any more thoughts on 10?
No, I'm basically done. It's cool, and everything that happens in it is elaborated further in the Oath from this week, which Rob will now take point on.
Okay, well, we'll both take point on this.
Sure.
Dude, I love this was a total 180 from the Confession.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opposite of the Confession.
They recreate the same
And-
panel of now it's Cap standing over comatose Iron Man.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I think if I remember correctly, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think the first words out of Tony Stark's mouth in the Confession was "I'm so sorry"
I think so.
or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, well, the first words out of Steve Rogers' mouth is "What a waste."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and I like the message he sends, because he's like the whole time he's talking to Tony, he's like, I wish you were here,
Yeah.
so that I could see your face when everything you know and love is ashes and dust by the time I get done with it. And it's like, oh my God. I think it's Hydra's Captain America at the most pure.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Well, that's the best thing about it, because he starts off the book like with his face on, with his mask on, being like, "Hey, true Americans, I'm Captain America, here to save the day." And then the more he talks to Tony's corpse, and the more like the veneer starts to slip, and the real Hydra guy comes out there more and more. And it's so amazing, because they even go as far to say, like, look, I remember the last Civil War. I remember the secret invasion. I lived all those things. We were friends. We were buddies. But I still would have killed you anyway, because I believe in one nation under Hydra.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the coolest thing, because I loved his speech about like the hubris of the superheroes.
Yes.
You know, he's like you were a point. Whether, you know, you being Iron Man is one thing, the people accepting you as Iron Man is another. You know, and he's like, the only reason why you're a superhero is because the people allowed it. But the problem is you forgot who you were fighting for. Like, when things got too hard, you just took off into space and just flew away.
He calls them Ivory Tower elitists, is what he calls them. And he says, you know what, people are scared. They're tired of being called bigots. And because of that, I will rule over them and bring about the Hydra revolution.
Well, he
they
also
won't
kind
even
of touches
know.
on that idea that, like, you have teleporters and like LMDs and artificial organs, and you keep talking about like the information age and the technological age, and you keep talking about being a futurist. The future, if you control it, belongs to you, and you're just gonna keep reminding everybody below you that like they can't have all your cool future stuff, but I'm gonna give it back.
Yeah, dude, that's the people.
I was gonna say, will he give it back? No, that's the thing.
Well,
No,
here's the
he
thing. So let me jump in really quick, because this whole thing is leading to Secret Empire, which is the next event. And I was reading an article today that referred to. Do you guys remember a few years ago when every time Cap would go to the future, he saw these War of the Worlds-esque creatures in vessels destroying the world?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, you'll notice that if you ever look back and look at them again, they got all these arms.
Oh.
Tentacles, yeah, the Hydra tentacles.
Yeah. That maybe that has been, that like Spencer either picked up on that little Easter egg and made it his, or they've been playing the long game, and Hydra, with Cap at the helm, will actually take over the world. And that will be the Secret Empire, and Spider-Man will kill Captain America on the Capitol steps. That the whole thing is just a big lead up to this big Hydra Invasion, and that's going to be the
Man.
Secret Empire.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, nice.
No, dude, that was one of the that's one of the things that I love. So I love what Nick Spencer did, because the coolest dude, my one of my favorite parts. Oh my god, dude, this Nick Spencer, man, dude. I tweeted out and I was like, this Captain America, and like Nick Spencer favorited it, but
Nice.
I was like, dude, one of my favorite things is when he's talking to Stark, and he was like, when Ulysses gave everybody that glimpse of the future where Miles Morales killed me, you guys were looking at Miles and you were looking at my corpse, but I was looking at everything else.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I saw a world ruled by Hydra.
Yes.
And so yeah, and
It's
so
a
he's like,
Kansas
so
City shuffle.
exactly. So he's like, even if I die, I don't care, because the world that I want comes to fruition.
Yep.
And I was just like, Jesus. This God,
Captain
it's so
America
good.
in 2017 is the most interesting, complex villain in comics today, and that feels
Oh, yeah.
so weird to say.
Yeah.
But it's so true. I appreciate that Nick Spencer doesn't make him a mustache twirler and doesn't make him all the way a straw man, but it's obvious.
a little bit of mustache twirler.
Is in this
But
one
it
he
took all
was.
this time to get there.
It's
It's
true.
kind of interesting. You're over here saying that Infamous Iron Man is fantastic, and we're seeing a bad guy who makes a great good guy, and then
Yeah.
we're seeing a good guy who makes an incredible bad guy. What I'm
Yeah.
excited to see is that you guys are actually excited from something from Marvel. And that
Yes.
has the word event tethered to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself, I think, speaks volumes about this book, what's going on in a Captain America, where this is going. So if you guys aren't on board for it and you're event fatigued, get over it, get yourselves out there, pick up the Oath and Captain America, and get on board.
Yeah.
Cool stuff
Yeah.
is coming very soon. by the looks of
Over
it.
in DC, Detective Comics 949. Joel, what's going on?
So this is the continuation of the Batwoman story that we had been focusing on previously. This is like a two-and-done story. It's kind of I don't want to call it filler because it's actually a lot better than filler. It focuses on her battle with Colony Prime, who was her father's favorite soldier, trained specifically to defeat Batman should it need be. And as we find out in flashbacks, this guy really looked up to her dad, and had she not broken away and joined the Bat family, she probably would have been Colony Prime. And it's one of those stories of Kate trying to, find a good middle ground between what Batman had taught her, what her father had taught her. And in the end, she's kind of like, I need to forge my own path. Batman wants to defeat crime. I want to defeat war. That's going to be my thing. That's going to be Batwoman's mission. And I'm like, you know what? Good on you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Way to differentiate yourself from the other characters.
That's cool. And
Mhm.
Batwoman
And-
has a title coming out soon,
Yep.
correct? Her own Rebirth
Yep.
title?
Yeah.
hmm
Which I'm
Marguerite
very-
Bennett Pence.
I'm very excited about that. Especially with, it's Bennett and...
I don't know who's drawing it.
No, it's two writers, and both writers I was
Oh, that's
excited
right.
for.
Yeah.
I thought it was Tynion, but I'm not sure. I don't think I'm right about that.
Yeah.
But
The
I'm
chat
still
will.
excited.
The chat will
Um,
reveal.
They will, so that'll be
They
awesome.
will.
But overall,
Just to chime in.
how you feeling about Detective?
I still think it's very strong. Again, it's my favorite Batman book currently. I love the team aspect of it. Batman's cool and everything, but you got all these other people on the side who can be cool too at the same time, and you can devote 2 issues to them and have it be really good. I think the next story they're kind of ramping up for is the Bat family fighting the actual League of Shadows, which they had dropped hints of in the first arc. And I really want to see what these guys are like, because this is the first time they've split the difference between the League of Shadows and the League of Assassins. So I'm like, okay, what's their deal, and why are the Shadows scarier than the Assassins?
That's awesome. That's very cool. The
Mhm.
chat did come through. It is Tynan and Bennett. I'm like, that's like a
Oh,
dream
nice.
team to me.
Yeah, that's a
Working
good
on,
idea.
on a
Hell yeah.
Batwoman book. I'm like, yes. I think that's
Yeah.
coming out in February. I'm not sure. So it's kind of cool that they're amping her up and have been ramping her up in this Detective Comics. And I think, hopefully, I wonder how much they're going to pull from that into the Rebirth title, what period in her life that this will be taking place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, Detective's good. Joel thinks it's the best Batman book out there right now.
Definitely my favorite.
That's on the back of the cover, on the back cover.
Yeah. Best Batman book yet.
Joel from Cape Joel.
Kate Joel.
Oh, come on. Of all my quotes, that's the one you pick. I'm way more eloquent in the other one.
Nope,
Jeez.
that's it. Sorry, cut, print. It's on there. Over in Marvel, my favorite man from Marvel, Doctor Strange number 16 came out, and we just finished up the arc Blood in the Aether, and of course they had been hinting at this battle coming Strange had been working through, basically fighting through some of his rogues gallery, including the Orb.
The Orb.
Gotta love it.
The Dark Watcher.
I really appreciated him in this book. I thought it was kind of fun. I think if you're going to put a character like that, like that's where he belongs. But
Written by the guy who cares.
Yes, and this book
Clearly.
he pops in briefly, but the main show, of course, is the fight with Dormammu. Because if you're going to fight through Strange's rogues gallery, you have to end with Dormammu. The design for Dormammu is, more close to, like, comic book Dormammu as opposed to movie Dormammu, which I really appreciate. Aaron's like, no, we're going to go with that. They did modernize it a little bit. He's a little, I think he's a little, he's less of a man and more of, like, energy in the form of a man, but, like, it's a little more edgy. It's very, like, obvious, like, legs, face mask. The face mask is more interpretive, though. And I really like it, and I like the fight overall. I mean, if you know what happened in the last days of Magic had been pulled from the world thanks to the Empirical, and so it leaves Strange completely vulnerable as magic kind of grows back and flows back into our world, and we finally get the answer in this issue as to why Dormammu didn't lose his magic. And, like, it's brilliant. It's really good. I'm not going to ruin it because I know Rob wants to read this. And this book is just, this is a great end to this. I love this as a little bit of a palate cleanser. We'd been dealing in Aaron's world for the past 2 arcs. This was like, let's just have a fun adventure, like almost little one-off stories about these villains in his rogues gallery. And then to finish with Dormammu. And of course, we lead up to the next arc, which is going to be a callback to a villain that Aaron has created. So we're going back into Aaron's world, and I love it. I love how they're doing this. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. I loved it. Again, perfect palate cleanser. So glad they touched on Dormammu. Just very cool.
Nice.
I mean, if there's anybody I trust to make a villain for Doctor Strange that would be good, it would be Jason Aaron. I trust him.
Some great ones.
I agree. And it's just one that, like, he's worked hard on, and it's just, I think it's going to be very interesting what he does with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm impressed that Bocciolo's been on the book this long. I know there have been a couple of spaces where he's not been doing it. But, like, it's nice to see him kind of as the dedicated artist for the book, more or less, because he's so great.
Yeah.
And the world of Doctor Strange really plays to the strengths of Bocciolo's art.
He does, and, like, honestly, like, I loved him out of the gate. I know a lot of people were kind of like, ooh, I don't know, because his style isn't super comic booky. But I think he found his stride. I think he, like, really ended up understanding the world, understanding the characters, and at this point, like, he's an old hand at it, and it's just, it's great.
That's awesome.
Absolutely great. And Aaron writes a perfect Doctor Strange. I love it. He calls Dormammu Dormy in this, which I love because it just undercuts Dormammu entirely. So I love it.
Nice.
I'm on board, and if you haven't been on board with Strange, now is actually not a bad time to start. Like, even if you pick up this issue, because the ones in the arc leading up to this have kind of just been like, remember this villain, remember that villain, remember this villain, you can pick it up with Doctor Strange number 16 and just go forward.
Cool.
I think I'll do just that. You do such a good sales pitch for Doctor Strange. I feel bad that I dropped it early on in Last Days of Magic.
It comes from the heart. I love it. Love it. But okay. Back over to DC. We're kind of ping-ponging back and forth today. Action Comics number 972 came out. Sal, you read that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm reading all things Superman lately, and 972 is the wrap-up of Superman explaining why Civil War II is stupid. With Lex Luthor.
Do you think that was intentional, or do you think the stars just aligned?
It's basically the end result of this issue is Superman and Lex Luthor bury the hatchet and understand each other on like a personal level, and gain mutual respect for each other. And they also establish very like kind of definitively this Lex Luthor ain't the one that Superman remembers. And there's no moment, and I'm really proud of this, there's no moment where Superman, because there's this moment where Superman and Lex Luthor, like, they're in Lex's office, Superman's like, you're not the man I thought you were, good luck, and then leaves. And there's no moment where, like, Lex draws the shades and goes like, I've got him now! Like, that's such a obvious thing that I was really expecting to happen doesn't, in fact, the polar opposite of that happens, and I'm like, sweet. Just a fun story about characters that I normally wouldn't give a crap about. Like, the villains are like, who cares? $5, whatever. Totally disposable, kind of like very specific, but like in a 90s way, kind of specific.
Oh, yeah.
I got a lot of shit on my body. That way means I'm cool. But at the same time, it is cool and it's interesting. It's I think Dan Jurgens is writing this book, so it feels 90s, but like with a modern storytelling sensibility. Like it takes everything that you think is cool about 90s comics while also making them legit, and it really works. It's just and also, of course, there is a glimmer of the future in this issue.
Oh,
I
dude,
predicted you were
love
going to
that.
see in the future and be like, and kind of like tease about what's happening with Rebirth. It wasn't as big of a bombshell as I was expecting, but it's still coming. And of course, they also tease the phony Clark Kent and what his deal is all about. So there's all that. There's that little like undercurrent. Although they're implying they're going to wrap that up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which I'm really excited.
yeah.
But no, dude, it's
It's
God, it's good. I was so close to in my because I was doing the recording the audio for it, and I was so close to being like, and ladies and gentlemen, this is DC pointing out how Marvel's screwing up with Civil War 2. Because the whole thing is like Superman's like, you can't kill a person for a crime they haven't committed.
Yes.
Like that's the toughest thing. But no, I will say this: when Dan Jurgens introduced Lakal and Zayd, I thought they were going to be throwaways, and Zayd was. Zayd was just like a throwaway bad guy. Lakal had a far more interesting story where he was like, I'm literally just going on this quest because Darkseid killed my wife and daughter, and I'm just killing anybody that might be like him. Like I love that whole thing because now he's got dynamics, and now we know he's going to be back.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, this isn't over. Like I will be back eventually. You know, and it's cool to see that.
And isn't
that
it
whole
funny
thing.
that DC's handling a thing that Marvel just spent
like a year
trying to do?
in 3 issues.
And they did it better.
And they did it better. That's
Yeah.
that's what's so
Well,
crushing
to be
about
fair, to be fair, like their Superman, like Marvel's Superman is an evil Hydra agent in disguise. There is no character. I mean, there could be, but like their Superman equivalent didn't get to go like, I'm incorruptible and what I say goes and is true, you know, and I'm like the moral barometer for the story. No, you got Tony Stark who's like, I don't know, I literally caused a Civil War or two in my time, and Carol Danvers is like, I just want to sell one title that isn't relaunched, please.
Now I just want to see like old man Tony Stark like in the home saying that.
Yeah, I caused a couple Civil Wars in my time.
Just a couple.
back in my day, like we were fighting each other. It was none of this peaceful Hydra ruling the world stuff. So one of the things I liked about this too is because in my mind, like if you were going to have anybody relaunch Superman, so to speak, Dan Jurgens would be the one to do it because I think he's like the most influential Superman writer. You know, well, I guess you'd really have like whatever his name was or whatever 30 years, but because he's dead. You could have Dan Jurgens do it now, but Dan Jurgens was there like at the height of the Superman, you know, situation where it was like the death of Superman. What are you guys talking about? You guys can't table talk.
I was looking at how long we've been running, and I was very pleased with it. So keep going.
Yeah.
I like they do this every week, but Rob only has a problem with it today.
No, no, I liked it because I like what they did with Lex Luthor because I imagine there were probably a lot of people who were getting into this and were like, why is Lex Luthor a good guy?
Yeah.
Because admittedly, like his interviews with Lois Lane didn't really explain anything. You know, half the time because, you know, well, really just because it was interrupted, you know, with like Lakal and Zayd attacking him. So, you know, but I like he sits down with Superman and he was like, well, I was a bad guy, you know, at one point in time. Like I was originally a bad guy and I did bad things, but then like people worse than me invaded Earth and I had to lead a team of supervillains to stop them.
Yeah.
And I realized, hey, you know what? Like the beer's better when you're a good guy, so we're just gonna go be a good guy.
I swear to God,
the party's better, the beer's better.
He used examples that I used that kind of called bullshit on his whole heel turn to make me look like a jackass because he because I remember him being like I'm like Future's End Jesus no Forever Evil, right? Forever Evil opens up, Lex Luthor lets Ted Kord's father fall from a helicopter and die before he like threatened his life, you know, before the helicopter crashes thanks to Ultraman. Like I'm like, this guy's a bastard. He is Lex Luthor. There's no question about it. He will turn. He is evil. And then he references like that where he's like, I was a shit, and here's an example of me being a bad guy. And I'm like, right, that's the example I used. And then he's like, and then if you don't forget, like, remember right after that, I then became a good guy, and then I stayed that way since Forever Evil, Sal. And I'm like, oh yeah, right on. Sorry, Lex, my bad. And he's like, yeah, and I'm gonna give the cape back too. Like, I'm a good guy. See, that way when I am a bad guy again, it'll gonna blow your goddamn mind.
He sells you really good on this, but he does everything you're supposed to do to make you believe that he's a good guy. And even shake Superman's hand.
I will say, I am still on. Like, I'm hoping that he is a good guy, and that we still get Evil Lex in the form of Mr. Oz.
Yeah, I'd rather see this good Lex Luthor stay good.
Who's just like, who will like, and it would be amazing actually. The way you get rid of, because they've been getting rid of the duplicates. You know, they got rid of Lois, they got rid of Superman, they're getting rid of, like, even Tim. They're taking people off the board in a seemingly story kind of way, but we'll see. But but they're getting rid of the dupes. If Mr. Oz turns out to be Lex, it's going to be an amazing moment when pre-Flashpoint Lex meets up with post New 52 Lex.
Oh,
and he's
God,
like,
yeah.
You are weak and stupid. You dare pretend to be me. And then throws him off a building. Like, it's gonna be amazing to see.
So good.
That was one of the things I loved from this story, and it wasn't. I don't even think it was this issue. I think it was I think it was 9. It might have been 968 or something like that. Yeah. But it was when Lex Luthor first met LaCall for the first time, and he was like, "You call yourself like LaCall, whatever it is." Like, I call you the Godslayer. He's like, "I call you LaCall the Delusional first for these baseless accusations, and second for thinking you can win." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, badass!"
Like,
pretty good. I like that in this issue too. He had the narration duty for the last 2 issues. Superman narrated the other ones. Yeah. He narrates the last 2, and that's a good way to sympathize a character too. Let us actually get inside their head and see what they're thinking.
Now, here's my question. Like, and this would be a great way to play this out. What if that Mr. Oz is really just Mr. Oz? Like, it's Ozymandias. It's not Lex Luthor.
It is,
but like the dark side that LaCall and them are afraid will be Lex Luthor is actually the pre-New 52 Lex Luthor that goes on to try to take Darkseid's place. I'd be down with that.
Fine with it.
I think they have to do it at this point now.
The only way to do it, like the only way to get rid of Lex Luthor, is to send him out and send him out as a hero, man. It'd be awesome if it's like if the road that he walks is like eventually gets to the point where he realizes like I am going to become Darkseid. And there's some huge conflict or something like that. He starts to lose himself. And in this last moment, when it's really, really Lex Luthor, he tells Superman, you have to kill me so I won't become Darkseid. And Superman has to kill him. I would just be like, it would be crushing, but it'd be beautiful at the same time.
And he flies him into the sun is what he does. So Lex Luthor can be at the center of the sun in the New 52 universe.
That's what I want, man. If the New 52 Lex Luthor is going to die, he needs to die like a fucking hero. Is what needs to happen. He needs to go out with a bang.
No question. That would rock. Yeah. I'm down for any of these ideas, or whatever they have planned, because they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah,
and they're on.
They are, man. They're running on all cylinders with Superman. It's good. It's good stuff.
All right. So it sounds you guys really seem to like Action Comics.
It's a good book.
I know
Superman in general is great now.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think everyone on this team right now has been enjoying Superman, enjoying what they're doing with Superman. So to be able to get Superman not only in Superman but also in Action Comics, I think it's just a win for everybody. And lots of exciting things going on with the Lex Luthor plot. So if you guys aren't on board, again, I think everyone recommends that you go out and grab this. Now, back over to Marvel. Here's a book I didn't expect to see on this list at all, and all of a sudden Joel came up with this. But Daredevil number 16. Joel?
Yeah, so I had kind of been falling behind on this, but I caught up because I knew they're working up to the big Running with the Devil storyline that's going to bring in the new Bullseye book, Elektra and Kingpin books. Yeah. And for that reason, Charles Soules is doing what many a Daredevil writer does, and that is he's telling his epic now. Every Daredevil run has their epic, their Murdoch papers, their Guardian Devils, their Shadowlands. Oh. Yeah, I know, right? This is called The Seventh Day, and it follows on after everyone who's been reading the book knows that Matt has taken up a new sidekick, a ward, basically, Samuel Chung. He had his eyes ripped out by a villain, so now he's blind, and Matt is just mortified by this. He's like, how could this possibly happen? Why do these things keep happening to me? I need to save this kid's life, and he starts questioning his religion. He goes back to church for the first time ever, and he meets a really cool priest, and they talk about life and evil, and Matt gets this crazy idea in his head, and they make reference to the Mark Waid run. He says, last time I fought Bullseye, he created this new villain called Akari, who was like me. He had my powers. He recreated the accident. I bet if I could get the Akari serum from Bullseye, I could at least give my ward power so he wouldn't have to, live horribly blind. I could help him out. So to do this, Matt Murdock takes out a hit on himself. He sells a bunch of his old billy clubs and costumes, goes to the bar with no name and says, I will give all this money to anyone who can kill Daredevil. So he fights D-listers all week, and at the end of the week, Bullseye shows up. And there's a moment, this whole issue is told in the span it takes for Bullseye's bullet to get to Daredevil. And he reminisces about life and, all the deaths of his loved ones and everything. And he's like, for a second, I think maybe I should just let the bullet hit me. And this will be my end on the rooftop right here. No big glory, no nothing. I'm just going to let this bullet hit me. And then he thinks back to the priest he talked to, Father Jordan, and this priest is freaking awesome. He's a modern day paladin. Is what he is. He's like, yeah, I was part of a secret religious order. He beats up a bunch of punks on his own. He says, no, you know what? I'm not going to make a deal with God tonight. I'm going to make a deal with the devil. And my deal is I will fight all day, every day, because that's what Matt Murdock does. And it's a really well-done story. And this is just issue 2 of the arc. And I'm like, geez, where are you going to go from
That's awesome.
here?
So no point does an effeminate Mephisto show up and...
No, but here is the thing, though. And if you're not sold on it already, I think this will get some lackluster Daredevil fans in. The big thing of Soul's run is Daredevil got his secret identity back, and we don't know why.
Yes.
So when this comic ends after beating up Bullseye, Daredevil goes to the priest and says, Father, I did something horrible. People used to remember who I was. Now they don't. I want to tell you why.
Oh,
so we're going to get another issue where it's like the confession. And it's, that's
Jesus.
Cool.
Okay, see, if there's any one thing I've learned recently, talking to people like the various fans that I have, like you guys, and reading books that I wouldn't normally read, like Black Widow was stellar. Did Black Widow come out this week?
No.
I think it was last week.
Okay, last week. Yeah, Black Widow was stellar, Moon Knight was stellar. It sounds like I need to pick up Daredevil, because it sounds like the direction Charles Soule is going, and if he's like, Daredevil always fights until the very end, Daredevil does whatever it takes to win, I could see him like reimagining this Shadowland concept and like rolling that in by making it, and then rolling it into all different Marvel.
That's awesome. I'm
like,
down.
Can I also say this was a story about a hero contemplating suicide? It made me think very much of that Tom King Batman story, I Am Suicide, that I didn't like. This is how you do it right, I think.
Wow.
I'm going to throw down the gauntlet and say Charles Soules did that story better.
Nice.
There was a brief moment where I thought that sentence was going somewhere else, Joel.
Really? Where'd you think I was going with
You
it?
were like, this is a story about a hero contemplating suicide, and for a moment I'm like,
oh God, this is going to go to a dark
place.
place.
Do you need help? You're right?
Yeah. Like, I might do it myself.
Like, no, Joel! No,
Joel's struggling with personal demons.
Look, so I've already taken out a hit on myself. So.
Joel, I don't... How does that work in Canada, exactly? I feel like that's not... Does not...
Hey,
They
would you
just-
mind
they just,
killing
like,
yourself, please?
You asked very nicely. Okay, we'll be there at 5.
So,
Wow.
all right, so kind of like on this list, I think that this is the biggest surprise sleeper hit, I guess you might say.
Yeah,
like,
I was
on
not
the list,
expecting this.
Like, again, this came out of nowhere. Like, a lot of the titles I've seen, like, from you guys over, like, the past few times that we've been doing this format, but Daredevil came out of nowhere. So I'm excited that we've brought this in. Your excitement for it, I think, has made everyone else really interested. I think the chat definitely liked it. So, and how many into this story are they?
This is only 2, and I will say if you have been a lackluster Daredevil fan, and I get the feeling a lot of people have, the Souls run had a lot of big ideas going in, but people dropped off because they dragged out the mystery. Yeah, jump back in now. This is the time, because you're going to get this. You're going to get the Kingpin Elektra Bullseye book, and also the new Defenders coming down the pipeline. Right. So they're making Daredevil marquee again.
And the Defenders book is a must-buy for me. That's New Avengers again. I've been missing that book since they put Vision back on the team.
Yeah.
Dude, that whole point, like when New Avengers first cropped up, I know you hate sidetracking, Tiffany, but when it was like New Avengers #1 and it was Captain America going around with like Tony, like going to Wolverine and say, we want you on the team, and Wolverine's like, why? Like,
yeah,
like, and he's like, because you have skills that we need. Like, we just need the guy that will do stuff that none of us will do.
Actually,
and
Wolverine's Iron Man brought Wolverine on the team. Captain America didn't want Wolverine on the team because he's a murderer.
All right, you like blue screened Rob?
Yeah,
Reboot.
Wow.
The nerd dicks are out and the measuring started.
Actually, Rob, I hate to be the guy who says this, but actually...
See, that's like the people who are like, actually, Rod, that happened in issue number 126. Well, you know what? It fucking happened.
Well, you know
All
what?
right, so who cares? Who cares what issue it was in?
I
It
really
happened.
I wanted to just do that. I was like, I'm going to sit on this. No, you know what? I'm going to give Rob a hard time.
God.
Amazing.
I
Looked
for
like you
some reason, I've
froze.
always
Looked
thought
like
it
the
was
computer,
Spider-Man.
like your
Or
camera
I was
crashed.
I was like,
Captain
wow, you literally froze Rob's Skype with that.
I kicked
And
Rob
then-
off the internet.
And I was like, no, wait, no, he's there. He's just flabbergasted.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, so Daredevil, go get it. It's going to get you excited for what's coming down the pipe. And the last book we have to talk about is actually from Image. It's probably the second most well-known book from our current Image runs. Saga number 42 came out. If you know me, I've been reading this since issue 1.
Yes.
I love this book. This is the last issue in this arc, which means that we will now be experiencing a hiatus that happens. They take a season break, and it kills me every single time.
And it also comes out of nowhere every single time.
And it
It's like,
comes-
what, are we there already?
Yeah, that's literally what it is. And look, I've felt emotional about stuff that's happened. I've been flabbergasted by stuff that has happened. I've cheered up a little bit in Saga. I was literally going to read more books today. I read Doctor Strange. I had read Doom Patrol before that. I read Saga. I was bawling and I couldn't read anymore. I was done.
Aw.
Like I literally, it was just before we went on. I was like, I better read it in case anyone spoils anything for me. I better read it. I had to pull myself together. I was destroyed by this issue. I'm literally not gonna tell you anything about it because it is. I like to call it. It's beautiful like sadness. It's panel work done in a perfect way. And I always buy these in hardcover, or like in the floppies. I didn't this time because I didn't want to wait. I couldn't get to the comic book store. I bought this digitally, and I can't even tell you how much of a difference that makes. I couldn't skip ahead. I couldn't see anything. And like swiping was literally like doing the guided view. It was
Torture.
It was torture, and it just like heightened everything. Without spoiling anything, our intrepid crew has been trying to get off of Fang, the comet that's hurtling through space. It's a war zone, essentially, between, the wings and the horns, essentially. And they haven't been able to leave. Their ship has no fuel, and it becomes crucial that they do because the comet is hurtling towards the time suck, or a time suck, that we had seen in previous issues. I don't know if it's the same one or if it's a different one, but essentially the comet's going to be destroyed. And there's other forces at play there, and literally it was a kick in the teeth handled in the most beautiful way possible. And the last few pages of the book, usually in the back of the book, they give you like Brian K. Vaughan answers mail. He writes up a little something like, "Hey, we're going to be going on break now, blah blah blah." The last, I want to say 5 pages of this book, whatever that would be filled, is just black. They didn't put anything in the back. That is how.
That's ballsy.
Yeah, and it's just I just kept swiping because I was like, no,
That can't be it.
Just crying and swiping. Tears getting caught in my glasses. It was real. I was a hot mess. So
that good, huh?
Yeah, that good. And I hate them for making me now wait.
That always happens to me with Southern Bastards, too, because it's also an Image book that goes on weird hiatuses.
Right. Dude, there's another book that just came out. I haven't picked it up, but they're equating it to Southern Bastards in that style. It's called Loose Ends. Number 1 just came out. So I know you're into that, so you might want to check that out, too.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
But, all right, so we actually have a little bit of time. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Is there anything you wanted to go back and touch on? Is there anything that you had any further thoughts? Any other books that you read maybe weren't too into wanting to talk about, but maybe just want to mention now?
Yeah, I want to talk about Moon Knight for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I want to talk about what a Dick Sal is for a minute.
No,
Isn't Massacre one of his old villains coming back? They showed a big panel page of it. It was a dude in African war paint. I'm like, oh, that's the one Moon Knight villain I know.
I don't remember that, but no, there's so Moon Knight, Moon Knight's being written extremely well right now. The way it's being done by Jeff Lemire is it's like this idea: is Moon Knight is Mark Spector sane or is he insane?
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Sal, asshole. I understand that whole right. Rob, that's the way it's always been.
I'm
if you
agreeing
bothered
with
to
you.
read Moon Knight before. No, I understand. I hear the snarkiness in that tone.
All right.
You know?
Watch your tone, son.
No, it's interesting because I'm basically getting into Moon Knight for the first time, it's like I'm discovering him for the because
You
I
did a whole
haven't read
video
Moon Knight
on
and
Moon Knight and how much he sucks.
you what? Yeah, well, yeah, I was like, dude, somebody sent me an email. They were like, I'm glad you're finally understanding Moon Knight's place. I'm like, no, he's still a lot like Batman, now more so than ever, because now it's just Grant, Steven, or whatever his name is, like, the millionaire who's also Moon Knight. So he's pretty much Bruce Wayne right now. That may change, but the fact remains that it's really, really cool, because I like this idea that the whole beginning of the whole first half of the first arc is him in a mental asylum.
Yeah.
And like all the significant people that have played major roles in the stories beforehand are all like patients in the mental asylum. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, did he just find out who they were, and then he's just like substituted their names as people in this whole scheme that he's made up in his head? But then, very Shutter Island. But then like the entire thing gets blown open by this asshole named Sal. And what happens is Moon Knight comes across Sal.
Yeah.
And Sal's like, actually, Moon Knight. Those are real people.
Dude, this is meta.
Yeah.
Because you met them in these 5 issues or however many issues over the course of your publication history, they're real. And Moon Knight was just like, really? And he's like, yeah, you'd know that if you understood anything about Moon Knight.
Right.
If you were a real Moon Knight fan.
Yeah. So
you would have known that, Mark Spector. Well, Moon Knight's he gets pissed and he's like, you know what, the hell with you then? And he just doesn't talk to Sal anymore. So
I can't think of a worse punishment.
In all seriousness, somebody made a really good point in the Discord where they said it seems like it's the titles that no one cares about that are the best.
True.
And like I think that's true. Like, dude, Black Widow, that comic is insanely good. Mark Waid is like writing it so well. Like the reveals, her whole backstory, fleshing out even more. I wouldn't say that I care about like the new Dark Room, the new Red Room concept. I wouldn't say I care too much about that. But in terms of going really like Captain America Civil War with like the revelation that Bucky Barnes killed Tony Stark's parents, like doing that whole backstory element to her character is cool. Because then it's like what else has she done that's really bad? And it comes out really, really good. It's really solid. Yeah, like Vision, yeah. Sal swore by Vision for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Then I was like, whatever, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. And I'm just like, why is this story only 12 issues long? Like I really wish it was longer.
Yeah.
It was on every best end of the year list, wasn't it, Vision?
Yeah.
Anyone else? So Rob's into Moon Knight and his story that he has concocted. Joel?
Can I sing the praises of Hulk here for a second? I was only able to skim issue 2, but I really enjoyed issue 1. I really like where they're taking Jen Walters in this post-Civil War II thing. They're dealing with survivor's guilt a lot in this. It's cool to see her working for a big firm again. And the fact that after so long of her being completely in control of her own Hulk transformation, basically being the only one who could turn it on and off at will and chose to live as a Hulk, because why wouldn't you want to live as an 8-foot-tall Glamazon if you had the choice to? Now she fears her Hulk transformation, and they seem to be toying with this idea where it's like, what if Jen Walters had her own like kind of gray Hulk thing going on, like a scarier, darker Hulk?
That's
a
cool
that.
idea.
That is really cool.
It's a good book.
I bought issue 1. I still haven't had a chance to freaking read it.
Solid.
I've looked through it. Like I've looked through a couple pages, and I've been like, "This is cool. I'm looking forward to reading this one day."
It is the most subtle, understated Hulk story I think you'll ever read in a thing all about smashing. It's like, no, let's talk about emotions and feelings and recovery.
Nice.
Anything else?
Yeah. No, it's I mean to kind of build on that. I mean, I haven't read Hulk yet. But if it's going in that direction where they're really like beefing up the character of Jennifer Walters, then good on them, because I kind of feel like she's one of the characters that's just been wasted more than anybody else. Like in major events, it could have been great. Like Civil War, she was just a lawyer in the background.
Totally wasted.
Totally wasted. With things like Avengers Disassembled, she freaked out, destroyed a car, a couple buildings, and then just ran off.
Well, that was
and it's just
like get rid of her, like get her out of here.
Yeah, I get that much, but it's just even during Greg Pak's run. Like, she was a backup feature fighting Lyra, like She-Hulk from the future, and then fighting Red She-Hulk. I mean, it was just kind of like, okay, I mean, I feel like ever since John Byrne left, like, she's just become the most irrelevant character in Marvel Comics.
She's had some good cult runs there. Again, Charles Soule's had a really great, if short, Dan Slott wrote her solid.
Horrible for that book.
Yeah, it was. It got worse.
It will get. Yeah, you could tell the artist was reading the reviews and just lost his soul as he was drawing that book. It was like, all right, you don't want to. Here's your Night Watch guy. Bleh. But Dan Slott's run was still really solid and a good meta Marvel book. during a time when like there was a lot of shit coming out at Marvel.
Yeah.
But John
I
Byrne and
don't
Dan
know.
Slott, I'd say those are the two best runs on She-Hulk. So, but this new run is I mean, it's only 2 issues in, but it's cool. It's doing something different and good. It's not just trying to redo the same shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I will trust you on that because you said, Rob, you need to go read Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man run from the beginning, and I'm doing that, and it is amazing.
Dude, you would
It's so
love
fun.
you would love Dan Slott's She-Hulk because it is a Marvel fanboy's like dream before Marvel like shot itself. You know what I mean? Like you'll love it. Trust me. Just read the first arc, and and if you're not convinced, you'll be like, then I'll eat my hat or whatever. But I get it. Like, but give it a try. You'll love it.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Before we go, I just, sometimes we talk about news, sometimes we don't, but this is something that's kind of pressing right now, and it kind of has to do with the pull in general, because we do talk about the comics that have come out, and that always includes not only floppies, but trades and graphic novels. Manga comes out every week. Let the New York Times know that you're not okay with them getting rid of the the best sellers, graphic novel and manga list. The New York Times has decided that that's not going to happen anymore.
They're going to take
That's lame.
graphic
Don't do
novels
that.
off the bestseller list.
Right? Like, that's not cool. That's not okay. That's just saying that you don't think that they're, like, at the same level as what they're
That's
used
bad.
to making lists
Yeah.
for. But other than that, guys, this has been The Pull. I've been very, honored and lucky to be joined today by Rob, Joel, and Sal. Guys, why don't you tell us what's going on for the rest of this week? Rob?
I have, what do I have? Deadpool becoming Venom
Oh!
tomorrow, which is awesome. He becomes Venom and he picks up Thor's hammer, which is cool.
Jesus.
Very
And then he
cool.
kills all the superheroes.
Very
Yeah, it's
He's
wild.
OP. They should nerf him in the next update.
Yeah.
That one and Black Widow
Awesome.
come out tomorrow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Joel?
Well, as always, you can hear the new episode of the Comic Multiverse if you head on over to my channel. That's Kate Joel. Also, I reviewed the new Justice League Dark animated movie from DC. It wasn't great, but if you want to hear more about what I thought, you can watch the whole video.
All right, awesome.
So there's that.
And Sal?
We just did a crossover episode with Mike and Ming from the Comic Book Men on Back Issues.
So cool.
So if you want to watch the Comic Book Men and I discuss Onslaught from Marvel Comics and just kind of complain about how crappy comics were back in 1996, you should definitely check out that episode because it's our biggest one yet and it's a super fun time. So
Yes.
check it out.
Awesome.
Oh, also Tiffany did a review of Doom Patrol on DC Fans. Go watch it.
I did.
Yee
I
yee.
did do that. I did. It's been done by me. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and listening to what we had to talk about this week, January 26th for the comics that came out. We will be back next week at the Weekly Pull on Tuesday, and then again for another episode of the Pull on Thursday. Thank you for hanging out. Keep reading, guys. And
Yeah.
we'll see you all later. Bye.
Peace.